Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. This is probably going to be the most exciting video that I've made thus far on my channel. And that's because becoming a witch or being a witch is one of the most important things to me that has been in my life since, I would have to say, kindergarten. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but it all started for me with the Chronicles of Narnia. I remember being in kindergarten and the teacher pulled out the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that sparked something within me that it was palpable. I was so excited and didn't really know what to do with it. And of course, things have only grown over the years as my understanding regarding the craft has grown. My mother was also a witch. She was very modest about it, and I was raised in a very Christian family on my grandmother's side, well, my mom's side, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And so things were really, really confusing, but I have a great love for witches and for the craft, and now I'm going to be sharing that with you. And if you're here, I'm so excited because that just means that something about witchcraft has sparked an interest for you, or just that curiosity, that seed of curiosity within you has been uncovered. So what I'm going to do, I have made a list of notes, because otherwise, I mean, there's just so much for me to say to you and so much to share that I would get lost if I just tried to wing this. So I did make a few notes, and we're gonna go from that. I do want to preface this by saying that this is a real Santa. I'm just kidding. He is my magical Santa. Isn't he pretty? Say hi, Santa. Santa doesn't talk, silly. It's just a thing. All right, so anyway, I do want to preface this by saying that these are my experiences, these are my ideas, and these are my beliefs. You do not have to go with what I say, or anyone else for that matter. Take the things that really resonate with you. You know, that's the joy of research and the broad span of information out there, is that you don't have to follow just one specific way. Speaking of specific ways, I'm not going to go into detail about what witchcraft is as far as a tradition. I'm also not going to list off types of witches. I am going to get into the nitty-gritty of things that have really, really popped up for me along the years. So as I said, when I was in kindergarten, I will never forget my kindergarten teacher. I remember all of us little kids were sitting on the floor, and she pulled out this book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And the lights were turned down, and we were all sitting and, you know, just kind of facing her on the floor, and it was a cozy little moment. And, you know, you're in kindergarten, so everything feels free and happy anyway. So she starts reading this book, and I felt it was beyond just that feeling of, you know, fantasy, or the feelings that you get. I don't know how to describe it. It was just intense. It was amazing. It was very, very pulling, I guess. And after the first few chapters, I remember going out on the playground, and I've heard so many people with these stories of going outside and playing with their friends and coming up with spells, or, you know, using dirt and crafting these things. And it was just, it started out with this silly stuff like, you know, making someone invisible, or maybe trying to fly. I can't remember exactly, but the point is I knew that there was something else, and there was something really special out there, and I tapped in. At a very mature level, I tapped in. And of course, it would come and go throughout the next few years. The next big moment in my life was finding out that my mom had these special things. And just a for instance that I can give you is this one point when we were living in Colorado, and my brother was being really mean to me. I have 4 siblings, and my oldest brother was the typical sibling, you know, picking on me and giving me a hard time. And he called me stupid or something, and of course, in my little 8 or 9-year-old way, I lost my mind, and it offended me so bad, and I was crying, and, you know, we're fighting, and I told my mom, and, you know, he called me stupid, Mama, and of course she tells him to apologize, and he didn't. He just storms outside, and we both had motorcycles as little people, so he had this motorcycle, and it was sitting outside the house. And I remember very, very vividly, she was folding laundry, and she was doing it right next to this big window. And my brother went outside, and I'm sitting there with her while she's folding laundry, and I was just still pouting and so furious, and I wanted him to say he was sorry, and he wouldn't say he was sorry. And so my mother looks out the window, and she gets this look on her face, and she's just continuing to fold laundry. And I see my brother outside trying to, you know, kickstart his his motorcycle over and over again, and can't get it started. So you see him storm off the motorcycle and come inside. And he was so frustrated and so angry. And he's like, my mom said, this was the thing. She looks up at him and she says, what's the matter? And he said, my stupid motorcycle won't start. And she says, well, why don't you say you're sorry to your sister? Why don't you tell her you're sorry? And he says, no, I'm not saying I'm sorry. And so this went on for a couple of seconds, and she said, well, do you want to ride your motorcycle? And he said, well, yeah. And she said, well, then apologize, and I bet you your motorcycle will start. So he's like, I'm sorry, you know, in his little defiant 10-year-old way. And she said, you can go ride your motorcycle now. And literally he goes outside, and the first try, the thing starts. And I looked at her. It was just like this quick glance. Something was there, if that makes any sense. Now, and I remember thinking, okay, she's got something going on. What is this about? And I didn't say anything at the time. You know, I was too little to really wrap my mind around it. But there was something there. And she did something. Now, the naysayers might say, okay, the first time he went out to crank the motorcycle, he flooded it because he continuously kept trying. But I just saw something, and what matters is it's our belief in magic. It's our belief in the potential, the possibility that really, really uncovers that seed. And then it all begins. It all just begins, and it flows, and it feels so amazing to drop into that belief. And that's what I did. On that day, there was no stopping me. And I was about, I would say 8.5, 9. And I remember years later, as I started to find out more about my mother and her abilities, I asked her about that moment. And she was raised in a very Christian home. My grandmother was in a faith, she went to a church called the Church of God. And it was incredibly strict. And I mean, you don't do anything that you weren't born with. You don't cut your hair, you don't wear makeup, you don't get piercings, you wear dresses, not pants or shorts. It was very strict. And so this is what she had come from, and her embracing her abilities as a witch, as a woman of wisdom, I guess is the only way I can describe it. She tapped into that, but she was very modest. It wasn't something that she talked about, even with us kids, you know. She did sometimes, but not. She was very reserved. I'll just leave it at that. You know, very reserved, very modest about it, which I appreciate looking back after all these years. So one of the things that I want to touch on is that each and every one of us are born magical. A child's innocence and purity is magic in and of itself. And so as we get older, we are conditioned and we are socialized, and we have things that are set in place by our loved ones and our society and the culture in which we live. And so a lot of times that magic that you have as a child, just believing in the wonderment of the world, and if you were lucky enough to be raised with your belief in Santa, then you know. And that's, in essence, that's magic. It's innate within all of us from the time that we're born. We're so carefree and so full of laughter and joy, and then life happens. So I think that a big part of witchcraft is leaning back into our childlike wisdom and our childlike magical nature, and beginning to it's not about learning magic so much as it is as about kind of dusting off these layers of, crampedness and being told what is true and what's not. So you already are magic, and it's just to what level you want to take that. And if it is being a witch, then you can certainly do that. You don't need a permission slip, and you certainly don't need a guidebook. I think those of us who are truly immersed within the craft know that it's something that is going to unfold magically. It's not going to be a step-by-step type of process. It just doesn't work that way. And you can follow as many spell books, and you can follow as many YouTube videos, or read as many books as you want, and you'll still see that this is going to unfold for you, because it's really about you. And that's the beauty in this. That's the beauty in this craft. So I did make a few notes. I think I said that earlier, and that's just to keep me on track. But I just want to give you some things that make sense to me, and some experiences that I've had. I have literally been preparing to make this video over the last 12 months since I've started my YouTube channel. And that has just been because this is so deeply important to me. And I want to give you the best of what I've learned and my experiences. And you can take little nuggets and little pieces of information that I give you and weave that into your craft however you want to, or not at all. That's entirely up to you. But that is the whole purpose and point of me starting my channel. So let's get started. The number one thing that I think that is so important and absolutely paramount in any practice is respect. And when I say respect, I mean on the deepest level. Respecting yourself. It's so important to respect you. But the major part of this respect is respect for what we can't see, and a respect for nature, and a respect for source. However this all started, whatever it is, however we all got here, whatever it is we're doing here, have a respect for that and a gratitude for that. Those two things will take you so far, because when you, like for instance, I pull in the elements into my craft, as do many witches. So respecting the elements, respecting the spirits of particular things, whether it's plant life or the moon itself has its own spirit, and the sun, everything. Just show gratitude and respect for those things, and that will be a beautiful foundation for you. It will lift you up on so many levels. Guard the gates of your mind. That's so important in the craft. And what I mean by this is take care with the information that you consume, whether it's from other witches or it's from whatever source that this information comes from. Guard the gates of your mind. Your mind is where thoughts are created, and if you're cluttered with so much horrible information, like the news and what's going on these days, that type of thing is only going to create negative energy within your mind, and therefore your thoughts are going to be all over the place. So protect your mind. Watch what information you're taking in and what your surroundings are. You know, what is your environment? Before I go any further, I do want to mention the fact that I've been, in a way, sort of Mr. Miyagiing my channel and my videos. And unless you've seen Karate Kid, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. The videos that I've made thus far are laying the foundation for a spiritual journey for your craft, or anything like that. I didn't feel like I could start my channel without putting out videos that actually lay the foundation for you to begin a spiritual journey. Know Thyself is one of those videos, but some other ones that I put out that are just so important. These are the absolute foundational things that you should do, in my opinion, to really give you that foundation. And I'm going to list those off for you. You are welcome to go and check those videos out in your own time. But I do think that they're going to be helpful. So meditation is paramount. Meditation does not have to be this huge, elaborate process of thinking no thoughts and clearing your mind continually. And it's not a cookie cutter box. Meditation is literally you taking a moment, and it could be 30 seconds, it could be 5 minutes. I would recommend 10 minutes, but it can be however many minutes you want, and however many times a day that you want. Meditation is incredibly important in clearing your mind and opening the channels to be able to hear with your spiritual ears and see with your spiritual eyes, if that makes any sense. You'll receive so many like mental downloads just in the time of meditation, things that would surprise you, you know? So that's incredibly important. Grounding and centering before any kind of ritual or any kind of spell is so important. I have experienced, it's so funny, you know, you hear the term practice what you preach. I've had so many times that I will get on here and, you know, even the most, what do I want to say, blossomed YouTubers out here still have this nervousness before they get on camera, because this is weird talking to your thing, you know, nobody's there, but I'm talking to you. But I didn't ground and center before doing it. And I can tell you that when I was done, cats and dogs, when I was done, I had the worst headache. And so I made sure to ground and center before I started this video, for sure. But that will just help you, you know, and so check that video out. Visualization is also very important. I do know that there are some folks out there that unfortunately can't visualize. I'm not sure of ways to help you or to guide you on that. But if you are able to visualize, that's going to be incredibly important in setting not only an intention, but seeing the outcome before it happens. The next one is intuition. We all have a built-in intuition, and that's that gut feeling of, is this right? Is this dangerous? And that's just an innate gift that we all have. Intention. When you do any spell work or any ritual work at all, it's important to set intention. So I go into that. I already covered gratitude and respect. Synchronicities are something that is going to begin. If you haven't already experienced synchronicities, it's something that you will experience throughout your journey, which is really cool, because I call those like little hello signs, you know. We may not know exactly what the synchronicity means, what it links up to. it hits, you know, it taps into something within your mind that says, hey, I'm the universe and I just want you to know that you're on track. Or, you know, you'll see, you'll start to take in these, whether it's 11:11 that you see on the clock, or, you know, synchronizing numbers that you see repeatedly. The last one that I have down here is inner child work. And I think I touched on that at the beginning. Magic is all about reconnecting with your inner child. That's so important, so important. Know thyself. That is also one of the videos that I have on my channel. And listen, we go through life never completely knowing who we are. That's the joy. That's one of the fun things I think about this journey, is getting to know you, because you're ever changing. Learning how you tick and what's important to you and what your boundaries are, and working through past trauma, dipping into your shadow, and you know, dealing with all the pain, becoming the best version of you today, each and every day, the best person that you can be. That is the best thing about witchcraft, and it is the biggest gift that you can give. Did I say gift? It is the biggest gift that you can give to humanity. And the more you tap into your divine nature and just how magical you are, that is going to light up from within you, and your energy that is going out is going to touch and reach so many people. And that is the best thing that you could possibly do. The next one is having an understanding that each and every day you are working with energy, and that's everywhere. So you can't escape it. So I know that I see a lot of people on YouTube and in different comments, or there are videos made about how to stay tapped into your practice, you know, or you feel like you're getting burned out. The joy with committing yourself, when you have that something inside you that says, I'm a witch, that's who I am, I embrace it, that's what I'm about, and that's what I dedicate myself to. You can't be out of it, you know. It's not as if this is your spirituality or your witchcraft, and you know, when you're not doing physical active things, so you might think, it's not like, uh-oh, well, where's my witchcraft? Who moved my witchcraft? I haven't lit a candle today. I didn't do my ritual last night. Can somebody tell me where my witchcraft is? I lost it. I lost it. I guess I've fallen off the witchcraft wagon. I'm not a witch anymore. You get my point. That's a bit silly, I know. But that's the whole thing, is when that something within you is moved to the point of watching a video like this, or starting to research and study and gather things and move the energy within you towards being a witch, or embracing the craft, or anything regarding your spiritual journey. See, we're all on a spiritual journey. It's just that us witches have known it, and certain spiritual people just know it. It's always a journey. It's always a spiritual journey unfolding right in front of our eyes. We just don't necessarily see it all the time. So know that you're working with energy all day long. And that's how I bring my craft in every single day. When I have off energy, I don't try to escape it. I don't try to change my mood. I just start asking why. And it's a contemplative nature. You're working with energies. When you get to the point where you go into ritual, or you're ready to do your thing, whether it's a meditation or regardless, making a cup of coffee, you're working with energy. And as soon as, like for instance, I start to make a cup of coffee in the morning, or before I eat food, I try to say thank you and show gratitude. Right then and there, you're in the energy of the craft. You're in the energy of being a witch and having the wisdom that there is energy all around you. You can change, manipulate, shift, however you want to word it. You can change that energy all day, every day. For instance, one of the most common ways is working with moon. With the moon, you know, which is a lot, we'll work with the phases of the moon. And what is that? That's energy. That's new moon energy, which is coming up tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. or the full moon. Those are energies, you know. For me personally, I love being near the ocean and feeling that energy. You know, there's a sharing that goes on there, and I think that that's a lot of what witchcraft is to me. It's sharing energies. I share mine and I receive. I give and I receive these energies, and it's so beautiful. Yeah, okay, so the next one was witchcraft is a lifestyle. It's in your daily activities every single day. And just as I was mentioning, if you understand just the tiniest thing, like for instance, that we are working with energy each and every day, then you won't have a tendency to feel this this stress or this struggle to constantly be doing something, you know, witchy. It will just start to come to you. These are things that it's not hard. It's just, it's a commitment not just to the craft and being a witch, but to yourself. You know, the gratitude and the respect and the understanding energies, and yeah, I could go on and on and on. If you couldn't tell, I'm super passionate about this stuff. So passionate. Wisdom comes from experience. The wisdom that you will gain with herbs, with candle magic, with ritual, with practicing all together. The wisdom that you will get, the wisdom that you gain, and the more impactful your spell work and your craft will become, for not just for yourself, but those around you. It's experience. So get in there and do these things. There's nothing to be afraid of. You can't do it wrong. Do you know? You can't do it wrong. Witchcraft and magic will inevitably open you to your truest nature. And this means getting into your shadow and getting into past trauma and growth and healing. And I know that might sound a little bit spooky, and at first it may not happen. But as you delve into your spiritual journey here, things will come up, whether it's insecurities or jealousy, all the lower level vibration type of energies. Those will come up, and it'll be, this is what I've experienced. It will give you a sense of banging your head against a wall, like nothing feels right. You know, you go to perform a ritual, or you're kind of trying to weave your way into manifesting a particular thing, or studying even a particular thing within the craft, and you'll feel like you're at a lock point. You're just, either you don't feel the energy or the drive to do that thing or study that thing, or your spells are just kind of flopping. A lot of this is the energy, the beautiful energy of the craft kind of intermingling with trauma that you've been through, or negative experiences, or negative belief systems that are put in place. But it will force you to go within and work out those clogs, is what I guess I could call it. You know, just different belief systems that we have, that we've experienced over and over in life, or things that we've been told. And the craft, the energy within the craft, I believe, pulls us into our truest nature, our divine nature, what we are, what we mean to this universe, essentially, you know, because each and every person on this planet has a purpose and has a meaning and affects those people around them. And so I know that about 6 years ago, I reached a point that was very much like that, just kind of a dead end. And I could not budge in my craft. I was at a standstill, and that's a whole different video. But it was the most beautiful, eye-opening moment of my life. And for the past 6 years, my craft has been on point. And so, you know, I think that there's been a lot of healing within myself. And I think that the energies, like I said, of the craft, I couldn't budge because I had a lot of healing to do. And I couldn't go further and sort of ascend to particular levels until I worked out these negative mindsets and beliefs within myself. And I do have a video on the dark night of the soul, which is something that many people on a spiritual journey do experience, and they don't know what's going on. I was actually smack dab in the middle of another dark night of the soul. I say another because you will have many different awakenings throughout your life. It's not just one set time that you wake up and go, oh my gosh, this is what I'm capable of, or this is what's going on. You're going to have so many different awakenings. And yeah, so there's that video. Another point on here is that your craft is absolutely yours. It is meant to be about you. This is about your own expression into the world. It's about showing up for you finally, whether it's wearing the things or doing the things. Do it in your flavor. It's your expression and your flavor. You can be however you want to be, you know? Do your craft the way that you want to, not the way somebody else tells you to. It's a space for being who you want to be and who you feel at any given time that you are. So keep that in mind. The proof lies in results. So here's the thing. First, that being said, you do not have to prove anything to anyone. You know, if you have naysayers, if you are out and open about being a witch, you have to prove nothing to anyone. The proof is in your results. And as you apply these things, as you move through in your studies, your research, and applying those things, the proof lies in the results. And that's all that matters. You don't have to prove anything to anyone else. It's about you crafting and seeing results and moving forward. Research. Research is incredibly important. This one I could go on and on about. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to have to do a lot of research, but that doesn't have to be mind-boggling or grueling or tiresome. Just, you know, try to commit to, I don't know, commit to a book. And then as you read that book, you're going to find certain things will stand out to you and be appealing to you. Or watch a video and somebody will say something and you'll go, I want to find out more about that. Just be aware that you're going to have to research these things. And even still, whenever you get information from a book or a video or from a person or whoever, cross-reference that and ask yourself why. You know, all the time. Contemplation is so important. Contemplate. Why have I arrived at this decision or this choice or this way of doing things? Know that there's no rule book. There's no rule book. I mean, just there's no rule book. You can be and practice however you want to. There is, you know, I know that there's a lot of gatekeeping, and some people can come across as knowing all the things or doing it the perfect way or setting it up as though there's some sort of absolute structured way of doing something. There is no rule book, and I can attest to that because I do all the things. I pick and I choose and pull into my craft so many different things. And that's how you learn. So just know that. Labels are not necessary. You do not have to be a specific witch, and you don't have to dive into one specific thing and stick with that thing until you know all about that thing before you pull from another source or type. And that being said, remember that your craft, witchcraft, is a practice. So it's not something that you will ever exhaust. In other words, you'll never be able to learn all about it. You'll never be able to, you're not going to reach the end. You know, it's a practice. It's something that when you learn something or something resonates with you, you put that into a ritual, you add it to a spell, and you see how those things turn out. It's a practice and finding what fits. So the best way that I can explain using magic every day and making sure that you practice every day without getting burned out, if you feel like you need to be doing something, like if you actually, until you reach a point where you understand fully, like within yourself, nobody telling you that you've reached that point, but when you reach a point of that energy flowing within you and it just feels so good and you understand that every day the practice is about mingling with these energies and showing respect and gratitude, and that in and of itself is working your craft. Do the things that you love and weave magic into those things. For instance, dancing. Just mindfully say to yourself, I'm elevating my energy right now. I want to connect with the highest energy and my heart energy, because as you start to dance, your heart starts to beat stronger and stronger, and you're tapping into your love space. Do you know what I mean? Reading is one of my passions, and that's my biggest research tool is from books. I have tons of books, and I love to get into researching the craft. And it's not always about just specifically the craft. At the end of the video, I'm going to list for you a couple of suggestions that I have and people that have been very impactful to me on a spiritual level to weave my magic. The tools in witchcraft that you need, this can be overwhelming for beginners because you see all these, you know, established, I guess, if you will, established looking witches, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube or wherever, and you see all these tools and there's a sense of lack, I guess. And I can understand that. And I'm not going to tell you don't go buy the tools. I'm not going to do it, because if that's something that you can do and you want to do and it makes you feel more empowered in your craft, by all means, go buy it. But that being said, if you don't want to go buy the things and you know, you can get stuff from nature and use what you have. So just know that. But I'm not going to tell you not to buy the tools, because that was one of the most exciting things for me. Now I had to save to get specific things at different times. You'll know, like, you'll know when you see the right tool. You'll know when you need the specific thing, whether it's a chalice or an athame or, you know, the tarot deck. You're gonna know, you're gonna feel it. So I listed here that magical workings of gratitude, that's also a lot of my daily practice. So it's not a big, elaborate, huge working. It's a moment of lighting a candle and letting that burn for however long. And then at the end, when I'm ready to blow it out, I blow it out with a huge thank you and words of intention. That right there, when you do workings of gratitude and say thank you, that's where the magic comes in, and you feel a sort of, I want to call it just a cosmic hug. You're recognized. You know, it is seen. It is seen when you lean into energies that, you know, are not completely understood, but sought after. There's a recognition. So it's beautiful. Ritual gives us a chance to celebrate the gift of consciousness, of humanness. This one is so important. Whether it's, and ritual can be spelled out however you want it to be. It looks however you want it. Ritual for me can be lighting a candle, lighting incense, sitting down and meditating. And it gives us a moment. Like when you try meditation, for instance, I want you to maybe just sit down at some point and clear your mind, except for like if you can just tap into the feeling of being a human. We're here. Like, what is this? This is incredible. There's so much destruction and so much pain and so many things that people push out there, this negativity. But if you actually stop and you embrace the fact that you get to be here, you get to be here. This is a gift because we can weave our lives as we want to. Our moods and we get choices, okay? And it's just so freaking beautiful to be alive. You're freaking divine is what I'm trying to say, okay? Witch or no witch, you're divine. Witchcraft, I think, is most impactful in personal transformation and discovering that divine nature that I talk about. When I mentioned earlier about transforming negative belief systems and patterns and thoughts that we have within, when you're in the midst of crafting your craft, you'll be pushed to certain little corners of the universe where you have to work these things out. You know, a lot of people will stop. For instance, if you jump into witchcraft and you start feeling uncomfortable, or you start feeling like, nah, this isn't for me. Well, first of all, if you do feel that way at any point, then go ahead and you don't have to continue. This is something that is a decision that's made within you. But a lot of times the discomfort that you will feel, whether it's witchcraft or just a spiritual journey, whether it's just on being on a path to awaken more, those uncomfortable, cramped moments are literally messages to you that it's time to work on something. There's some energetic block within you, some false belief, something that is pulling you down, and you have to work through that, or you won't be able to move further. Because listen, magic is real, and the craft is real, and it opens to you. It opens you. And that's the beauty of this whole beautiful, beautiful journey. Whatever it is to you, it forces you to open. Or don't. Because if you choose to just go ahead and retreat within, the problem's not going to go away. It'll still stay there until you work it out, And if you sit silent for a few days and you choose to cut yourself off from the craft, and then you go, well, maybe I kind of feel a little bit better now. Maybe I'll do it again. It'll be the same scenario until you work out these patterns within yourself that free up that beauty inside you and that knowing and understanding that you are here and you are special and you have a purpose. Then you won't be able to unfold, if that makes any sense. So I also listed on here the quote-unquote stuff is merely a side effect of becoming your truest, unique essence. And what I mean by that is that so many people will jump into witchcraft because they've heard stories of, somebody cast a spell and they got a new car, or, casting a spell for a new house, or casting a spell to find a special love. Okay, so here's the catch with that. If you cast a spell without doing the work within, if you cast a spell for a love or a relationship, your spell might come true, but it won't be either what you expected or it won't last. And so the same thing goes for, and again, I need to say, this is my opinion and these are my experiences. What happens when you do this dance with magic and with the universe and with all these beautiful energies, and then you do the work within, the things coming to you, these things that you would have in the beginning cast spells for, these things are a side effect. It's literally a side effect of the beautiful energy that you have cultivated within your being. So in other words, the things either A, won't matter to you like they did once back before you really started working within the craft, or B, you'll get the things, but they won't be the right things at the right time. At the end of the day, this is about becoming and being your brightest, unique, divine essence. So I listed here also something that really, I think, if in the simplest terms of describing what a witch is to me, a witch sees the unseen. And like, for instance, a witch sees the caterpillar, but also sees that the caterpillar turns into the butterfly. And the rainstorm is a message, and that a blowing leaf can have a message for you. It's, you know, that energy that I talk about and keep talking about. It's an understanding, it's a communication on an energetic level. It's knowing that that caterpillar, even though it's this creepy, you can see it however you want to, but this moment of this little caterpillar being squished to death, and then, you know, finally it bursts free right before it's about to completely die, and it has wings, and it's this beautiful butterfly. And that's a lot of what I'm kind of talking about with the energy of witchcraft, is that it is constrictive at times. It's not this free, happy, cast a spell and the thing's gonna come, or somebody's gonna change their attitude, or whatever it is. It's mostly, at the end of the day, it's about you, and it's about opening you to be the most beautiful presence that you can be on this planet, in my opinion. The next one is the line of demarcation between the mundane and the magical life should be blurry. So this goes back to what I was talking about earlier regarding your practice. You'll have times in the beginning where you'll feel like you're not practicing enough, you're not as intense as you should be, or you don't have as many tools as you should have, or you don't know all the things yet. And that's okay. As you go along and as you practice, that line of your mundane and your magical life will become blurrier and blurrier. And as I said earlier, my actions towards my kids, my husband, my friends and family, people that I see out in public, I try to incorporate my magic in those interactions. And magic and witchcraft is just something that I am, that is me, if that makes sense. Everything that I do, like, it's a blurry line. I don't know why that was a blurry line, but it is. So I don't know, I hope that makes sense. So I also listed that witchcraft should not be showy or prideful or ego-driven. And I don't need to go into that anymore. You can kind of get what I'm saying regarding that. When you are in your craft, meaning when you are immersed in it, it's something that shines from within you. And the energy that you put out, your aura that you carry every single day in every situation, is enough. You know, that's enough to put it out there. So with that being said, I want to give you a list of a few people that have been influential to me on my journey. The first one definitely being my mom. And, you know, maybe at some point I will share some of the things that I learned from her and some of her abilities that carried over to me. With that being said too, I don't want you to think that anybody who tells you that, you know, you're not a real witch if it's not hereditary, that's bogus. You're a witch if you say you're a witch, and it's just as simple as that. So some of the people that have really, really influenced my journey, not just in witchcraft, but my spiritual journey. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, but Eckhart Tolle being one. Eckhart Tolle is one of the top people that I would have to list because I had the hardest time living in the now, and that's what he teaches, and that's what he expresses, the importance of being here right now. This is all that matters. So definitely Eckhart. Ram Dass, I've listened to only a few of his lectures, but I will tell you that in just the tiniest amount of time, that man moved me on such a big level, because one of the biggest things that I've had to overcome in my journey is speaking and voicing what I feel and saying things the way that I feel them and expressing things the way that I want to express them. And Ram Dass, after listening to a couple of his lectures, he sort of gave me a permission slip to express myself my way. You know, I don't have to dilute my expression. There's no landing point to the things that I say necessarily. Sometimes I do speak too much or too long. I mean, this video is going to be horrendously long, but whatever. Wayne Dyer is truly, he is one of the biggest blessings to have ever come to this planet. Wayne Dyer is so beautiful, and the way that he delivers such messages about how beautiful we are as human beings. He had such a love for life, and yeah, so Wayne Dyer. One of the things, going back to Ram Dass, that I wanted to point out was a quote from him is, "What matters is the relationship of your soul to the mystery." And that really just wraps it up. What matters is the relationship of your soul to the mystery. And that's what all this is just a great mystery. It's a dance, you know? It's a dance. Somebody else that really, really touched my heart is Damien Echols. Now, if you don't know who he is, there's quite a story behind Damien Echols. So I won't go into that here, but that is one amazingly strong individual. I mean, that man has been through hell and then some. And when I came across, it was by accident that I even found out about this person. And I tripped over, again, when I said to you that the tools that you need and the things that you need will come to you in synchronicities, I was literally watching a video on something, and I saw, you know, you usually see the first comment underneath that person's video. Well, I saw a comment and it said something about Damien Echols and being a part of something, and so I researched it and I found his channel, and then I found out that he had written a book, and then it just went from there. But just the heart of this being, it completely catapulted me into a whole different level of my magical spiritual practice. So there's a quote from Damien that says, "Magic is interacting with the intelligence behind reality." There's an intelligence behind this reality, what we perceive and what this is and what's going on. And when you dip into that and you start using magic, it's just, as I said before, like a cosmic hug. There's a recognition. It's like when you show that you're interested and you show a desire to kind of co-create, I guess, it's beautiful. It's a dance. It's truly a dance. And last but not least, I need to mention Kellyanne Maddox. She is one of the single most radiant beings I think that I have ever seen here on YouTube. I tripped over her channel. She doesn't have these necessarily these flashy titles that help you to find her. She is true and she's authentic and she knows her stuff. She knows her craft and she's so passionate about it. And I will say that she was one of the very last people. I mean, I could list a ton of people, but she was one of the final ones that kind of flipped the coin for me and sort of helped me find within myself that courage to take this step, because the things that she talks about in her craft and in her experience and in her world are so similar to what, you know, I've experienced. And it showed me that being raw and talking about your experience is so important. It's so important to use your voice and to put your experience out there, because the people that you're supposed to attract, the people that are supposed to or meant to find you, they will resonate with the things that you say. And that's, yeah, so she was definitely the tipping point for me. So thank you, Kellyanne, if you happen to watch this. I appreciate you. I appreciate all these beautiful people. But this video is so long at this point. Thank you so much if you're still here. And I hope that I've given you some great tips to work with and just some insights, you know. This is all a journey for every single one of us, witchcraft or not. Whatever spiritual path you're on, just know that you're beautiful and you're divine and you have something incredible to give to this world. Just show up as you, exactly as you are, flaws and all, because none of us are perfect. None of us have like this guidebook. We're just kind of, you know, just kind of fumbling through. But that's the joy of witchcraft. That's the joy of magic. That's a joy of tapping into a spiritual journey. The journey never ends. And don't think that you have a destination. Stop looking for the destination or the goal or the place that you're going to get to. Enjoy right now and just let it all unfold. And until the next video, stay magical and be blessed. Bye.